Excellent. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Technical difficulties. I don't know what happened to my phone.
I think it's mostly on our end.
You know what? I'll talk, and it's okay if you guys can. And you can look at the slides later, of course, as well. And like I said, I'm so excited to see some of you out in person when we do the tour. So this will just be the first introduction, hopefully, give you lots of information. All right, so you can go next slide.
Next slide. Oh, isn't it
So
pretty?
Goldstone is one of three places in the world where we track unmanned robotic spacecraft. And we've been tracking spacecraft for NASA, for JPL, and 5 international partners since December of 1958. And the other 2 locations are in Madrid, Spain, and Canberra, Australia. So 120 degrees apart. That way we have that continual tracking coverage. Like I said, for the 46 missions that we are communicating with right now. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see our boundary map. And it's kind of coincidental that our boundary is like the shape of California inside of California. So we have all of these little dots, our antenna properties and buildings. We have 11 antennas total, but we have 4 spacecraft tracking antennas that are currently working for NASA and JPL right now, right? So on the tour, we actually go see all 4 of the spacecraft track antennas. And this year, we're actually introducing, in December, so the very end of the year, we'll be introducing a 5th antenna that's been under construction since February of 2020. So it's been a long 5 years. But yeah, this is just a little boundary map to show we're completely surrounded by Fort Wayne National Training Center. So even though we don't have anything to do with the military, we are very, very close neighbors to them. So when we tour Goldstone, inevitably you will see some sort of either military drones, Humvees, helicopters, tanks. Hopefully they're not doing anything on the firing ranges because that's just noisy. But you can do the next slide. Right. So we have a public website that's called Deep Space Network Now. And from your phone or your laptops, tablets, anything like that, you can actually check what Goldstone is tracking whenever you feel like it, whatever night and day, not just Goldstone though, all 3 complexes. So this is just a screenshot of that because sometimes we don't know. It is a JPL run system. So while we can talk to spacecraft really well, sometimes sometimes the servers on Earth don't work so great. A little information about the spacecraft we're tracking tonight. In Madrid, we're actually using all of the Madrid antennas to talk to Voyager 1. So it's a really special special evening for that. And in Goldstone, we're doing 2 multiple spacecraft per apertures, which means we're talking to 2 different Mars spacecraft with 1 antenna there. And we're talking to the Lucy spacecraft. And in Australia, they're talking to Voyager 2. So that's super fun. And they're actually a solar observatory as well with their antennas. So like I said, this DSN Now, if anyone is interested, they can check that out. And on the tour, we'll have it on the tour date. So we'll be able to see what everything's tracking as we're driving around complex. So if you go to the next slide. And if anybody has questions, don't let me just rattle on. I'm more than happy to answer.
Is your microwave test facility, is that still inactive?
It is not active anymore, but we do have a complex maintenance facility that is active, and an emergency control center that for 160 years we had when the Altadena fires were going on in January, and for the first time they cleared out building 230's mission control room at April and relocated it to Goldstone for 5 days. So that was, I mean, it was great that it worked, but it was terrible situation.
There's another question.
How far away is Voyager 1 now? 18.6 billion.
15.6 billion miles for Voyager. Did you say Voyager 1?
Voyager 1.
15.6 billion miles away?
A lot of miles.
That's a long way.
Right, 24.9 kilometers. Yeah, 1.92 days round trip light time to get the signal back from Voyager 1. And Voyager 2 is a little bit closer. It's 20.8 billion kilometers, and it takes 1.61 days round trip light time to communicate with Voyager 2.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, they're mind-boggling that they were built, 1970, or they were launched in 1977 and 78, and we can still communicate with them today. But I can't get my cell phone to last more than 3 years. I don't know how that happens, right? I feel like there's something wrong with that.
Leslie,
So this
I heard it described once that the signal strength that you receive from Voyager 1 would be like trying to use binoculars to see a candle in New York. Would that
right from California in Yankee Stadium, a candle being lit, you'd have to use binoculars. That is an excellent description of it. It's like a billionth of a watt that we have to amplify back up for Voyager, which is why we're having to do such an extraordinary array with the Madrid antennas to keep in contact with it. It's it's lived such a good life. I'm sure that we'll all be very sad, but it's a phenomenal mission with so many science books that have been rewritten because of it, but it's not going to last forever.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Right. So this next slide is kind of a snapshot of some of our working antennas. So we do have 4 spacecraft tracking antennas, but we also have Gavert antenna, which is DSS 28. So it's the bottom there, the Gemini twins 27 and 28. And that's a school program actually at the school I'm currently at right now in Apple Valley. The Lewis Center for Educational Research, this kids get to run this radio telescope from their mission control in their classrooms here. And then we maintain it, and of course it's out at Goldstone. But Rick gives you their founding had the idea, and is that we're going to at the time, like, what a great idea. And the story goes that Rick Piercy actually drove his little red pickup truck out to Goldstone from Apple Valley to pick up the telescope because he thought he was going to bring it home to his school campus. And I said, I hope that Dr. C was never a math teacher, because I don't understand how a 34-meter antenna would back up and pickup truck. But we also have the Venus site antenna, which is our research and development site, and that is unique to Goldstone. Of the 3 complexes, Goldstone's the only one that has this research and development antenna. So it was named Venus for mapping that it did in the early 90s, and it was first 34-meter beam waveguide that was ever built in the network. And the 34-meter beam waveguides are now kind of our staple or our workhorse antennas. That's 24, 25, and 26. And then, of course, shining star of the Goldstone complex is DSS 14, and that's our 70-meter antenna. And each of the 3 complexes only has one 70-meter antenna, and ours is nicknamed Mars antenna. So if we go to the next slide.
There was a question about what frequency or band Voyager.
So the expand KAKB will use L-band specifically for our solar system radar tracking. And that's where Jeff would have, as a technician, would have been able to get into much more detail about the frequency and a lot of the hardware and things that are just above my my pay grade, above my mental capacity.
Good question. All right.
Yeah, you kind of cut out.
Right.
What
So,
band was it?
oh, it's several different bands: X band, S band, K band, KA, KB, and then for solar system radar tracking, it's L band.
Microwave. Microwave bands.
Mhm. So when we go out to Goldstone, for those of us that are going to go for the tour, we will actually see the DSN control room and our operations efficiency program. It doesn't sound that groundbreaking, but it was just a few years ago that we were able to eliminate the mid shift and swing shift at each of the three complexes. It was right before COVID, so that happened good timing, I guess. We didn't have so many people in this control room, and of course, our control room feeds directly to the JPL control building, to the their historic landmark in Pasadena. Any of the products.
I just lost her again.
Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna click on yours and see if I can make you co-host, just in case I lose my battery, but I don't,
Let me try and call it.
okay.
I can hear you guys. Can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Not well.
Not well, but yeah.
Not well.
It's just a bad, what you call?
Hey, Leslie,
Yes.
can you try turning off your video and just maybe just do an
Yeah, let's
audio?
try that and see.
Are you still there?
Okay, let's try that.
Yeah, it's still pretty choppy.
When if I turned off my video, though, that would turn off the camera though, wouldn't it? Okay.
Yeah, but that's not why it's splicing.
It's her cell connection that's
Yeah.
intermittent.
Less data going through it.
We'd have better luck talking to Voyager.
See, I think my video's off and it's still working.
Can you go to the next slide and let's see if. Right. All right. So I'll go through this kind of fast, that way in case we lose again, because this is a little bit more about what we'll talk about during the tour, right? And we'll see some historic antennas. We have our very first antenna that was ever built in the network, which was Pioneer. It's a National Historic Landmark. It is Deep Space Station number 11. And then right outside my office, which is right outside the museum portion at Goldstone, is DSS 12, or the Echo antenna that was used for the Echo project to transmit voice communication from coast to coast. So that's super cool. And then if you go to the next slide, of course, right now we are only doing unmanned robotic spacecraft tracking, but we did support the Apollo missions. So that was a very exciting time for this particular antenna that then did space shuttle missions and then was finally decommissioned after doing Earth orbiting tracking in 2011. And we get to see that, although it's not a historic antenna, at Goldstone, it's one of our favorite antennas. All right. Which then leads us to our next slide, because we are so excited and getting prepared for Artemis 2. We did track all of the unstaffed Artemis 1 projects, and we're so excited for our 4 astronauts to go up, hopefully next year, and spend 10 days in space. So we will be tracking Artemis 2 for 10 days, and it's going through all the testing and all of the rigmarole and stuff now. So it's super exciting for us. And while we have not met any of these particular astronauts, we have been blessed to meet retired astronaut Jose Hernandez, who did some community outreach here in the high desert and actually opened a telescope, and I don't know the particulars of the telescope, but in Lucerne Valley at a county library. So it was really fun to meet him. All right. And then if you go to our next slide, we have our 34-meter beam waveguides. So, right, these are the workhorse antennas of the whole deep space network. The radio waves are transmitted by these movable mirrors. They're not shiny mirrors, though. They're not glass mirrors, down into the pedestal. So you'll see in this picture, this beautiful picture, that there is no cone in the middle of the dish like a traditional antenna. And that's the beam waveguide feature, that there's a 2-story basement building underneath each one of these antennas. And that makes it easier for our equipment to be out of the weather and easier for our staff to maintain the antennas and in proper order, working order. Yeah. And then our next slide is very exciting because it's about our brand new antenna DSS 23, which, like I said, we started construction on February 2020. And then, of course, we all remember what a terrible year and preceding year that was, right? Sorry. And then, so this antenna that was supposed to take 2.5 years to construct, when it's all said and done, is going to take 5 years. Right. So those are some construction pictures. And if you look up on JPL's website, you can see actually when we just lifted the reflector up this December, it was a really exciting time. So it went from looking like a transformer to looking like a real antenna. Sorry, it's going to get windy because I have to go pick up my daughter. Oh, sorry. That's my car. Oh, that's not good. So if you go to the next slide. All right. Of course, like I said, our shining jewel, the 70-meter antenna, was built in 1966. And only one of these antennas at each complex. So you could fit this. Hey, I'm on a call still. I'm down here. That's why we were driving. Okay. Sorry, I have a teenage daughter, and they're just delightful. If you've never had one, I would not recommend it. So our 70-meter antenna is actually getting ready to go on an 18-month depot level maintenance where it's going to be out of commission. So that's kind of an exciting time to get a huge refresh. And when we're on the tour, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that are happening during that 18 months. But it might already be in maintenance mode in September when you guys come. So it may be a bustle of activity, which would be fun to see. So the next slide is our NASA, the next chapter, right? So these are some of the missions. Now, this is just a tiny bit outdated because we did launch Lunar Trailblazer already, and unfortunately it's not in communication with us anymore. It was a very short-lived couple-day mission. And then of course, let's see, this one doesn't show Ingenuity, but the little Mars drone helicopter that was able to fly 72 times, which I find just super cool because my kids are super into drones and they want to fly drones. So the fact that we could fly that propelled helicopter at Mars was fantastic. And then this shows our flagship, right? NASA's largest mission, which is Europa Clipper, which we just launched in October. It's going to take a 5-year journey to Jupiter's moon Europa. And we're going to be studying that ice moon. And of course, everybody's just dying to know if there's anything, anything living at all in that water, which maybe there is. Who knows? And then our next slide is kind of another snapshot of all of the spacecrafts that we are currently tracking. So like I said, we don't only track NASA and JPL missions, but we also track 5 international countries' missions. And that is the European Space Agency, the Indian Space Organization, the Japanese Space Agency, the Karis, which are the Koreans, and then the United Arab Emirates. Because I tell everybody that, you know, Dubai, they don't want to just build skyscrapers to the moon. They want that moon vacation for everybody. And so we have, yeah, like I said, we have a ton of missions at Mars. We have a lot of space telescopes. Of course, we have lots of things around our moon as we prepare for Artemis astronauts, hopefully in Artemis 4 and beyond, to get back to the moon.
What's Lucy?
I'm sorry, what?
What is Lucy? The satellite named Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy is to an asteroid, right? So it's the first mission to explore small bodies of Jupiter Trona asteroids. So it is an active mission, and it actually just went past Donald Johnson asteroid. I think that's what it was called. But Lucy was launched in October of 2021. And like I said, it just did this week, actually, on April 20th or 21st, did a flyby of its latest target, which is the Donald Johnson asteroid, which is the second asteroid it's encountered. So it's pretty cool. That asteroid, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember. I was just talking to the school kids about how big that asteroid was, but at least it was easy to pronounce, because some of them, like Dinkinesh, I feel like I'm always messing up asteroid names because they name them with, I don't want to say funny names, but I deal with a lot of kids, so we all laugh at funny names.
Hey, thanks.
You're welcome, right? Yeah, so it encountered Dinkinesh in November of 2023. And then, like I said, it just encountered Donald Johnson. And then I want to say the next encounter in August of 2027 is Eurobates. Oh, we'd have to look that one up too, because I know I'm just not pronouncing that properly. But it has a list, I think, of 5 small bodies in the Tronan asteroids that it's supposed to explore. Awesome. And I think the last 2 slides kind of just cover, like Bud mentioned, our visitor center, our space museum in Barstow. It is free and open to the public. We do a lot of family events and a lot of school trips there. So if anyone happens to be driving through Barstow between now and your tour date, feel free to stop by. We try to be open on the weekends because that's when we get the most traffic, because like Bud was saying, we do have the Railroad Museum and the Route 66 Museum on the same property. So I think that is about all that I have. Thank you guys so much for your patience with the technology issues. And like I said, again, I'm so sorry that Jeff wasn't able to jump on today. And by September, Jeff will actually be retired. So it just wasn't meant to meet Jeff, but I'm sure we'll meet possibly his replacement or someone in his department. The guys love to talk to tour groups, so we'll have to see who might be able to answer some additional questions when you guys come out on your tour.
That would be cool. Thank you.
Of course.
And you were a delight. Thank you so much.
Oh, like I said, thank you so much for you guys and your patience, because I know technology is so funky. Can you tell Daddy we're on our way home?
Patience, we were having a few issues of our own.
All right, no worries, no worries. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will be in contact with everybody soon. You should have started to see your NASA registrations. I think Diana put them in. So if anybody has any questions about that, please let us know, and then we'll give you guys some more direct instructions when it gets closer to the tour date.
Well, thanks
Thank you.
again, Leslie. And I've just got a couple of people who have not received an email yet. So I will, as I hear from them, I'll just continue to email you and update that list and so forth. So
Perfect, great, thank you. And you guys are excellent, because we have people who really wait till the last minute to do it and stress us all out. So we appreciate that.
I didn't want to do it too soon because I don't know how early is too soon to get it. But from what I understand, it's just an access list to get on board Barstow, correct? The military base?
At Fort Irwin, correct. Fort Irwin, and then our NASA security gate at Goldstone. So, like I said, it's a really simple form. It's not too invasive, and it just makes the check-in process that much easier, because they have already all your information.
Okay, great. And
Yeah.
those of us that are maybe retired military with an ID card, we can get on board, no problem. And I know there's some of us here that work for the government, and we have CAT cards or whatever, and we can also use those to get on board if we need to, correct?
Yep. So, you won't necessarily need them. You just need your driver's license. But if for some reason you want to do something at Fort Irwin after the Goldstone tour, then obviously you have all the privileges to do that with those cards.
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks again, Leslie. I appreciate it. Thanks for your
You-
time.
Yeah, you're welcome, dear.
Wonderful. Great hearing from you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Leslie.